Blessings, everyone. Welcome to a Sunday Night Alive here on this magnificent Father's Day in 2020. So just a moment to hug all over all the dads who are out there, the fathers, the grandfathers, the uncles, the brothers, the mothers who are fathers, just to really honoring all of that masculine energy today and just hugging and kissing and appreciating you all. Thank you so much for joining me or watching this broadcast. So, do you love my new pixie haircut? For those who've been coming, it's much shorter, but in Florida, it makes no sense to have a lot of hair. It's humid and you swim. And so I found myself a hairdresser this week and had it rectified. So I'm very, very excited about our topic tonight. We come here every week. Every week, I talk about how you and I can live a life of spiritual power, how you and I can architect and design intentionally a great life, a life that we love, a life that is not only authentic, but that is one in which you are happy, it's meaningful, purposeful, one in which contributes to the planet, where you are demonstrating and expressing love and compassion and kindness. And it really is, the awakened life is a life that is complete with the past. That is just the truth. It is a life in which you are living in the present moment, that you've gotten over all the morbidity of the past, all of the limitations of the past, all of the unforgiveness in the past. And by the way, I'm not saying this awakening process is easy. It is not easy. There's a lot of gnashing of the teeth that can take place as you do it, but it is possible to really step into a life of spiritual power and just live an extraordinarily wonderful life. And that's why I'm here. It's why I'm here every week to share ideas for practical spirituality and how we can embrace this idea and actually begin to make it happen for ourselves. So I'm excited for this topic, and you might be a little surprised what it's really about, but it is change your because to because. Change your because to because. And the dictionary definition really says that the word because introduces the reason or the explanation for something. And you and I know that, right? It's like, I'm going to go to this party because it's going to be really fun, right? Now, I don't really want to talk about the positive use of because. I really want to talk about the limiting use of because and how we use it in our lives. Because we normally, the word because in its limiting sense is used as a word to explain often why we don't have what we want, or why life isn't turning out the way we want it to. So for example, it could be, I can't sell my house because the housing market's soft, or I can't get a great paying job because I don't have a college education, or I'd have a great relationship but my parents are divorced and I've never been able to really, I've never had a good role model for what a great relationship looks like. So in this context, this word because it just introduces a reason or an explanation for why. And it's one of the things about it is that our becauses are personal. They are unique to us. They are we view life and we view what's possible for us in life and what's not possible for us through a lens of perception, which is unique to us. So just because you think that you can't get a great paying job because you don't have a college education does not mean that there are not great paying jobs that are available to people who don't have college educations. So what you think isn't true, it's just true for you. So, we're working in a metaphysical field, and the outer and the inner are related. So if you believe that to be true, then you are going to be affected by it. It's just the way that it works. We could also be affected by what's considered what the ongoing topic in the collective consciousness is, right? So if the collective consciousness has an opinion about something or is declaring something, like some people, even under these circumstances with COVID-19 and, the social distancing and the staying in your house, and a lot of people say that's awful. Like they're having a really hard time. Like they'd be happy, but they can't because of COVID-19. There are other people who are saying, wow, I'm finding a lot of happiness during this time. So so your reality is personal to you. Just you just kind of have to like get that, because if you think you're right about all of your limiting thoughts, then there's no way out if you think you're right. So my favorite question this week is, imagine there's something you don't know, the knowing of which would change everything for you, right? Just imagine there's something you don't know that if you knew it, it would change things. So, so whether your because is because of your a personal perception based on your upbringing and your environment, or whether it's because you've entered into a limiting thought agreement with the collective, either way, it's limiting. Either way, it is going to render you more powerless than powerful. So a couple of weeks ago, we talked about spiritual laws and principles, which are essential for any spiritual seeker. In fact, I'm not even calling them that because they could be put offish. The word spiritual could put off some people. So I was really calling them mental laws and principles. And mental laws and principles are real. They exist, and they exist like gravity exists. So it's not like you can avoid using these mental laws and principles. You are using them and have been using them from the moment you were born. And some of them are pertinent to this conversation of shifting our because to because. Probably the most pertinent one is the law of cause and effect. We're going to talk about causation tonight primarily. Also, the word, your word is law in your universe. And also the mental law of mental equivalence, which essentially says the universe will manifest in accordance with the mental seeds that are planted. And you are the seed planter in your own life. You're the only seed planter in your life. It may look like other people can plant seeds in your life, and it may feel like other people are controlling your life or controlling how you feel or what you think, but it is not true. You are the conscious or unconscious seed planter of your own being. So, so tonight's, as I said, is the most important one is the law of cause and effect. So here's the question. It's a very important question. So what causes things to come into existence? Whether it's a planet, a cosmos, a tree, peanut butter, earrings, jewelry, a house. It's like, what causes things to be? Now, it seems self-evident to me that what causes things to be is thought. They just don't appear out of nothing. That everything has to have started somewhere in someone's mind. Now, Mary Morrissey would say, she's the founder of Prosperity Plus, she said, thoughts are things. This is not an original idea. And by the way, there are no original ideas. All any of us are doing are synthesizing what came before and finding new and exciting ways to talk about it. Quimby, who's the father of the New Thought movement, if you don't know what that is, you can Google it. But the New Thought movement is, he was considered the one who brought it to the forefront, and it's a uniquely American theology, really. And he said that mind is matter and solution, and matter is mind and form. So he's drawing a very wonderful distinction here between mind and matter. Not a distinction, or an interrelatedness, a connection between mind and matter. I also love, whoops, where it happened here. Sorry. So I lost my place. So cause is causation is the most important question here. Now, there are two types of causation. And by the way, everything in the material world, just to finish that one thought, whether it's an earring or a picture or a planet, was created first in someone's mind before it actually ended up in form for us to perceive with our five senses that allow us to perceive the physical universe. So it's valuable then for us to look at causation. Like, what is the cause? If the cause is mental, what is the actual causation that causes things to come into existence? So there are two types of causation, primary and secondary causation. So primary causation, or first cause, would be the mind that created the universe. Now, some of us call that God, some of us call it nature or intelligence. Don't get too hung up on the word God. I use it because it explains and means something to me personally. But even more specifically, it's we think of God, we think of the creative energy as spirit, soul, and body. So body being the manifested universe, and spirit being the conscious seed planter, and the soul being how things get created, the creative process. This is way too big a conversation for tonight, but maybe we'll do it as another Sunday Night Live. But more accurately, spirit is the conscious part of God that actually creates. And that aspect in God that creates is the same aspect in you that creates. So we would say that there is within each human being a spark of divinity, that the seed of spirit is in you, and it merges with the universal spirit, which is why you think. It's why you can contemplate. It's why you can create. If you can accept that as self-evident as well, because we do not make ourselves. And we are such a unique being in reality that I know it looks like we're powerless and victimless, and early conventional theologies would tell us that that's so, but it's not so at all, because we think, we contemplate, we are aware of our existence. Now, I would say that God is in everything, and that is true, including rocks and tigers and sand and the sun. But rocks and tigers and sand and the sun, they are not like us. They don't think. They don't contemplate. They are not aware of their own existence. They have no past and future. They don't worry. Have you ever seen a depressed meerkat? They live in the present moment. But you and I are made in the image and likeness of the creative energy that created this world. It's why we can create. It's why we do create. I love Einstein's quote. Einstein said, "I want to know God's thoughts. The rest are details." Same with us. If in our life are all the details that represent our thoughts. When we look into life, if you want to know what God thinks, just look into life. You're going to find flowers. You're going to find sunsets. You're going to find moons and stars. You're going to find the Grand Canyon. You're going to find such awe and wonder. That's how we get to know what this creative energy that governs this universe is. It's because it's all right in front of you. If you want to know your thoughts, just look at your details, right? So I also love this quote. This is Plotinus, who was a philosopher in around 204 AD. And it very beautifully says exactly the same thing. It says, "I contemplate, and as I contemplate, I let fall the forms of my thought. This is the manner in which nature creates. It contemplates." The Buddha also said, "We are shaped by our thoughts, and we become what we think." Jesus said it in another way. He said, "It is done unto you as you believe." If you believe that the reason you can't get a great job is because you don't have a college education, It is done unto you that's that way. So primary causation is first cause. It's going back to the capacity to contemplate and the awareness that what you are contemplating cannot help but become the thing itself. It's the mental equivalent. It's a seed. We talked about this. When you plant a carrot seed into the soil, the way the law of manifestation works is it's going to create a carrot, not a tomato. So, so this behooves us to be very careful about what we're contemplating and thinking, right? And to do so intentionally, because all of the, this life of spiritual power is not a better life, it's not a good life, it doesn't make you a good person. It's just as a life that is architecting itself rather than being whipped around by the winds of change, or whipped around by your past, or whipped around by your fears or your worries or your doubts or your blah, 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 right? We get to apply some intentional, conscious thinking and contemplating and see what might happen. Now, secondary causation is when we use effects as cause. So when effects are being used as a cause, that is using secondary causation, it is a mistake in consciousness to do this because because you're not going to get the results you want, right? To use an effect. So the stock market being down is an effect, and using it to explain why you can't sell your house is also an effect, right? So to use an effect to explain another effect is less powerful than using primary cause. Now, I know it's big, but this is so big. If you can get this, it will cause you to be a master manifester. I love the story of the loaves and fishes, not necessarily for any historical reference, and not necessarily because it's factual in some ways. Who knows? But it does speak to that Jesus was aware that all he had to do was contemplate what he needed, and it would come. That's exactly how you and I should be doing this. We should just be contemplating, I think I need a better job that's more in alignment with my values. And if you just contemplate that, then somehow the job can come, right? So it's many spiritual avatars on the planet can do instantaneous manifestation. And they can do instantaneous manifestation because they believe, because they have no doubt in the creative process, exactly how it works. So, I'm pretty sure that God never had this thought ever once that said, God, I don't think I can create a zebra today because it's Tuesday. Or, I can't really create that planet today because I'm just feeling a little bit depressed, or whatever it is. There was never any secondary causation. He just thought zebra, and there it was, right? So, so in order for you to experience your power, as a manifester, really bringing into existence situations, things, jobs, relationships, communities, whatever it is that you're wanting to lead this great life, to get to elevate, to awaken into a higher state of consciousness. Your power to move into the realm of imagination and possibility requires that you recognize within yourself the part of you that is the part of spirit. It requires that you recognize that you are not puny and powerless, that you are not a victim of your circumstances. It requires that you have the audacity and the bodaciousness to say, I am a child of the universe. And the universe has given you, it's a God-given gift. It came with your DNA. It, just like gravity came with us, right? This ability to create came with you. So, so my advice really is to simply lose your because. That's how I would start. Simply stop saying it. Stop saying because. Stop, I love the word maturity. That so many of us got arrested in our development somewhere around 16, that we just got stuck. And it's kind of the way of the world. Really, it is. It's the way of the ego. It's the way of the world. It's the way of, so we have to recover from life. And in that recovery from life, we grow up and we mature. And so somewhere, no matter what your past was, no matter what you've done, no matter what's been done to you, you need to step into your worthiness, your wholeness, your perfection, your deservingness. Because if you want to architect a life out of nothing, which you do, you don't want to architect a life out of your past. You don't want to design a life based on your neuroses. You want to design a life based on your power, on your intelligence, on your creative capacity. So how does one do this? Well, it's enough to know that form arises from consciousness, that forms flow from consciousness, or said another way, consciousness precedes forms. That is something you need to know, believe, and trust. That it's really not as complicated as it sounds, nor is it as metaphysical or scientific as it sounds. Behind me, you see a photograph of an elephant. Well, it didn't make itself. I took that photograph. I had this idea. Go buy a camera, go to Africa, look at those elephants, go click, click, and then put it on my wall. This is no mystery. So how does one move from because to because? Well, I think the honest to God truth is, in some really profound ways, you just do it. You just do it. You just say, I'm no longer going to use reasons and explanations why my life isn't exactly the way that I want it. I'm just not going to do it. So you can do that. You can just stand right where you are, declare that reality for yourself, and go forth and multiply the all good. Now, this might require some shifting in your thinking and in the ways that you think and what you think and believe. But Ernest Holmes used to say that the greatest work that we could ever do is to look at what we believe and think about it. Why do we believe it? Is it true? Is it serving me to believe this? Or would it serve me to believe something else? Socrates said it another way. He said, an unexamined life is not worth living. So we need to examine ourselves as part of the growing up and maturing process. So what can, so there are some things so that you can embrace as true. And if you can't embrace them as true for now, start contemplating them, thinking about them, meditating on them, doing research about it so that you can see if you can get yourself into alignment with these mental laws and principles. Because if you do, you'll be manifesting loaves and fishes, I promise you. So one is we live in a field of thought or mind or consciousness, all the same word, thought, mind, consciousness. I also, for myself personally, how I love to think about God I like to think about God like water to the fish. Like it's not over there. It is, we are breathing. It's in the ethers, that we are a part of it. We are connected to it. We are, like we're all breathing the same breath. Like we are being like whatever it is, it's breathing my breath and your breath and the breath of 7 billion people, right? 7 billion leaves on the same tree, 7 billion drops of water in the ocean. So, and it is a mind. We live in a universal mind of which we participate. We are one spark of intelligence in an intelligent universe. Second is that everything in this universe is connected to everything else, that we are not separate from each other. We're not separate from our good. We're not separate. The thought and the thinker are not separate. So when you deposit, when you think into this ether, when you think, molecules begin to move, right? There's a saying that, uh, if you think of the world like a web, that if something's on the web around the world, something happens here, right? Because we're all connected. So if you think about this connectedness, like that which you are seeking is seeking you. The job you want is connected already to you. Your employer is connected to you. The new car you want is already connected. Who's going to sell it to you is already connected. So if we acknowledge that we live in this kind of universe where, quantum physics would say, quantum physics repudiates the idea that the only thing that's real is a physical connection, right? That it's not a physical connection, it's an invisible connection. So this field is also unlimited in its imagination and possibility. It's unlimited. There isn't anything that you can conceive of having that you cannot have, except maybe a pink elephant. But even then, who knows? I mean, right about the time I say that, some pink elephant is going to walk into the room. So practice thinking that it's normal way to think that you and I are separate, and I have a brain and you have a brain, and that these brains are disconnected. I would submit to you, perhaps as a theory, that the brain is nothing more than an instrument for perceiving, for input and output into this mental universe. And there's a little something interesting about memory, but I'm not even so sure that we don't share memories in some amazing way. You all know this, deja vu. If you ever gone somewhere and you've been there before, or you have this feeling, it's like, wow, why is this so familiar? I'm not so sure that all the memories that we have are not also in some shared airspace and available to us in some way. So we have brains in order to participate in this thinking universe. So with this as your fundamental understanding, it's easier to think that it's easier to see that what you're thinking about is going to activate a creative process where the molecules get rearranged. And that simply through your faith and through your intentionality, your conscious, I like calling it conscious seed planting, where you literally are consciously saying what it is you're wanting to manifest. Now, there are lots of tools for practicing this. There are lots of tools for that we use. We use prayer, we use affirmative prayer, we use meditation, we use contemplation, we use masterminding, we use vision boarding, all kinds of ways of letting the universe know what it is that we're wanting. And I mostly know that what we're wanting is to be free and happy, and we want to have the things we want to have in order to have this free and happy and creative life. So practice not using the word because. So primary causation is your word is first cause. Your word is the primary cause. Your capacity to declare, God said, let there be light, and there was light. You say, let there be a new job, and there's a new job. When you say, I can't have a new job because of I don't have a college education, you are using secondary causation, which is equally as powerful, because the creative process doesn't know. The process doesn't care. It's following directions, and those are your directions. So you want to give the universe instructions that will result in your getting what you want. Now, it's best to want things that are in alignment with divine harmony and love and peace and joy and abundance and health. Don't be wanting bad things for people. It's a misuse of law, and it will, it will bite you in the end. So stay on the high road. So I would like to, so I'm going to decree upon you, because I have the power to do that, because I just do. I have the power to decree upon you an advanced degree in making stuff up. So from this moment forward, feel free to go into this world and make up anything you want to make up. And we'll see what happens. Now, what this would look like: the perfect buyer for my house is on the way. My great job is on the way. I am healthy. My body temple is healing. I am vibrant, alive. My depression is gone, right? I am at peace. Whatever it is, it is not foolish. It's not woo-woo. It's not mansy-pansy. It's not miraculous thinking. It is a God-given gift we have to do as God does. We contemplate, and as we contemplate, we let our thoughts fall. So if you want to be a master manifester, you're going to have to get really, really good at making stuff up and believing that the stuff that you will make up will happen. So that's my Father's Day message to all of you. I am so grateful. I hope you take it to heart. You might have to listen to this once or twice again, because I know it's kind of big, but you can do it. You can. And if nothing else, just stop saying the word because out loud. It kind of goes with the same thing. Stop telling your story. Stop telling your story. Stop saying because. Stand in the present moment, awake, aware, aligned, excited about your future, and just start making stuff up. So I'm going to pray in a moment for us. We're not praying to an external deity to do something for us, a reluctant deity to do something for us. We're going to align ourselves with what's always and already happening. But next week, but the topic is what you really, 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 really want. A little synthesis and fun with a piece by Wayne Dyer that really had an amazing impact on my life. So I'm going to share that with you in 45 minutes as best I can. And also, if I appreciate your support of this work and this broadcast. So if you want to make a love offering, donation, or tithe to me, I'd be grateful. And you can do that through revdschubert@gmail.com on PayPal or on my website, deniseschubert.com. All right. So we're going to pray. So let us take a breath. And I do want you to know that everything, that when we close our eyes and we speak affirming words, that we're talking to our subconscious, which in truth is the place where manifestation takes place. That it's the second step in the creative process. We think something and then we feel something. And so just join me in this moment, if you will, by turning your attention away from all of the existing forms, all of the effects on the earth, all the effects. Anything you can see in the manifested universe is an effect. So let all those people, those places, those conditions, those circumstances simply just be in the outer world. They've already been created. And when something new happens in consciousness, new things will be created. So as we turn within to that space and place within us that is the source of all of the manifested universe. It is the source of our world. It's the source of your world. So in that space, we recognize our connection to one another. We recognize our capacity to speak our word. We recognize our worthiness, our deservingness, how magnificent we are, how loving we are, how creative we are. that we stand here, we release any sense of not good enoughness, any sense of victimhood, any sense of powerlessness. And so it is from the space of community and connection and of knowing our relationship to the one life, the one power, the one presence that I call God, but we can call nature or quantum physics or the field of unlimited possibility. I know that as I speak my word for and about each person here tonight or within the sound of my voice, that I'm activating a law that will make my word manifest. And so when I claim that you are master manifestors, when I claim that you step into an increased awakened state of being, when I claim and proclaim and announce that we are in this moment all grown up, we're all now grown-ass people, and we are going to stand in our spiritual maturity and claim happiness and peace and love and joy for ourselves, that we are in fact going to do that. And I am grateful for the very fact that we can change our minds, the very fact that we are not stuck with what we think is true, that we can have a change of heart, we can have a change of mind. We are designed that way, that we can stop miscreating and start creating properly any moment that we want to. And so I am just knowing wholeness. When we say we are whole, perfect, and complete, I'm knowing your wholeness, your perfection, and your completeness. I accept that you are going to go out and create a life that you love, and I am grateful in advance for bearing witness to it. And so I just release my word into the creative medium that this universe is, knowing that as we planted these seeds, they cannot help but blossom. And I celebrate your blossoming. And so with big, open, grateful hearts for all the men in our lives and for this Sunday night alive, we give thanks, we let it be, and so it is. Amen. Oh, all right. That is it for this evening. I will see you next Sunday for what you really, 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 really want. Peace and blessings, everyone. By the way, I have classes coming up this summer. If you go to my website, you can see everything. And I hope you consider joining me. I would love to be in a participatory dialogue with all of you. Great. Bye.